Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. And over the last few weeks on this channel, we've been doing deep dives into some of the upcoming features of the next WoW expansion, The War Within, which you might be able to experience sometime soon, as the alpha is planned to release kind of early during the most recently released 2024 update roadmap. The War Within expansion brings with it a ton of new exciting changes, from a new underground zones to explore, new raids, new dungeons, as well as so many old friendly benefits, and a ton of exciting class changes for us to explore. With this newest expansion, our classes grow even stronger and get access to a brand new system called Hero Talents, which further modify every single class spec in the game. Each class has access to multiple different class specs, which offer various roles such as tanks, healers, and DPS, and provide a variety of different playstyle variations from one another. Hero Talents are the next step of that evolution, and offer something of a sub-spec choice for every single class spec available, which further adds depth, flavor, and a unique way to augment each and every single one of our favorite playstyles. So in today's video, I wanted to do a bit of a deeper dive into the upcoming Hero Talent system and go over everything that we know about it thus far. But right before we do that, most of you guys watching these kind of updated videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do. So let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell if you're watching these videos anyway. Especially if you want to get more regular content regarding the next upcoming World of Warcraft expansion, The War Within. First, I want to go over some of the core features of the Hero Talents. The main purpose of Hero Talents is to explore deeper class fantasies and even iconic archetypes. Think of fantasies such as the Dark Ranger, the Sentinel, or the Farseer, which are usually inspired from many of the WoW hero NPCs found within either the Warcraft RTS or the World of Warcraft universe. The second goal of Hero Talents is to be a flexible new system that allows you to swap them out and switch them out as much as you want to. All the Hero Talents should function just like class talents and should have exactly the same flexibility. Hero Talents are also not another borrowed power system like in Shadowlands, Battle for Azeroth, or Legion. It's instead meant to be an evergreen system that adds additional depth into every single one of our favorite playstyles. The best way to describe Hero Talents is functionally they're kind of like a subspec. For example, when you pick your class, let's say a druid, you choose to play a protector of nature, which can take on a different shape. A balanced druid specifically specializes in weaving magic damage from a distance as a DPS dealer, focusing on nature and lunar aspects of the druid class fantasy. One of the subspecs, or a hero spec of the druid, will let you either to attune better to your nature side of the balanced druid, while another of the hero specs might empower all of your lunar and arcane spells, talents, and abilities. Either choice offers both thematic changes as well as mechanical changes, and allows you to focus on whichever playstyle of your balanced druid that you prefer to explore the most. And the idea behind the Hero Talents is to add additional gameplay options without necessarily eroding already established familiar class builds. Bear druids, for example, should be able to specialize into a lunar guardian build or a physical bleed damage build without feeling necessarily less viable. And each Hero Talent should be able to complement either one of the iconic or known playstyles. We also got more details behind how the Hero Talent system will work. You'll unlock Hero Talents by leveling within the next expansion, and you will start unlocking Hero Talents at level 71, and you'll be able to unlock the entire set of Hero Talents by the time you reach max level, which is very similar to how you were able to unlock every single node in your Artifact Weapon talent tree. But unlike the Artifact Weapon, you'll also have two major choices along the way. The first choice will be which hero spec you want to activate, and you'll be able to switch between these just like you'll be able to switch between your class specs. And also these Hero Talents will have choice nodes where you'll need to pick between two talented options. Every class spec in the game will have access to two hero spec choices, and all of the class specs will share hero specs. For instance, Balanced Druids and Restoration Druids will share a Keeper of the Grove hero specs because both of them have a connection to nature, but also both of them share the ability to summon treants in combat, whether it be through the Force of Nature as Balance or through Grove Guardians as Resto. Summoning treants will be a core focus of the Keeper of the Grove, and you'll be able to gain access which further modify the treant's effectiveness. Balanced Druids will also share Elune's chosen hero spec with the Guardian Druid, since both of these class specs have access to lunar and arcane focus builds and abilities that unify both playstyles. And that is generally how every single hero spec will function, though based on the examples we've seen recently, not every hero spec is going to adhere to the same rules. In a recent blue post, we got a little bit of an idea of how certain hero talents will work and play out, which gives us a better picture as to some of the gameplay changes that we can expect with future hero talent releases. For example, Unholy and Blood Death Knights will be able to share a hero spec of Sin Lane, which thematically were previously a sect of vampiric, dark-falling elves in the service of the Scourge and the Lich King. The hero talent will be very focused on modifying their most basic combat abilities, either Heart Strike for Blood Death Knights or Scourge Strike for Unholy Death Knights into a new vampiric strike, which fuels them with haste buff as well as vampiric self-healing. Major aspects of these hero talents will further strengthen that vampiric strike ability, increasing the haste buff value it provides, providing longer windows of vampiric strike usability, and mostly focused around amplifying that ability as much as possible. I mean, the entire hero spec focuses on vampiric strike ability, and some of the other hero specs will likely do similar things for certain basic class abilities. However, this is very much different from the Chrono Warden hero spec, which is shared by both Augmentation and Preservation evokers. Their starting trait will be Chrono Flame, which causes your Living Flame ability to sometimes echo a portion of its damage or healing. The two, however, will not have the same focus on enhancing that Chrono Flame ability. Instead, we see a totally different direction, where abilities such as Tip the Scales, mostly a one-off ability that doesn't see a lot of major interplay in either playstyle, will now become a core offensive or a defensive cooldown of the Evoker toolkit, gaining additional buffs and enhancements from the hero spec that drastically change the way you approach your Evoker. While other talents will enhance their cooldowns or personal utility, or even transforms their mobility skills in new, unique ways. Overall, this hero spec focuses on adding as many new buffs to existing core abilities, instead of focusing all of its efforts to empower one singular skill. But then we have the Paladin Lightsmith hero spec, which goes in an entirely different direction, by instead adding a new active ability, which drops down armaments for you and your allies to pick up to gain temporary damage or defensive enhancements. And most of its hero talents are focused around this armament empowerment active ability. Things like doubling its effectiveness across your entire party, allowing armaments to generate additional class and ability procs, as well as creating additional armaments whenever the Paladin uses their Avenging Wrath wings during combat, which altogether adds a brand new mechanic for that class, the Holy and the Prot Paladin, to utilize, instead of altering their existing spec toolkit. And we've also seen examples of hero talents that encourage the use of underrated or underused class talents and abilities to help add additional flavor into the class specs rotation. For instance, Mountain Thane hero spec, available to Protection and Fury warriors, encourages the use of the Avatar cooldown and the Thunderclap talent. Normally, Thunderclap isn't an ability that Fury warriors want to utilize, but the new hero spec heavily encourages the use of the ability through various buffs, procs, and interplane passives, allowing Thunderclap to become a proper rotational skill that not only generates resources, but also plays into natural class cleave synergies and provides substantial damage increases with every use. And I think this most recent preview gives us an idea of some of the archetypes of hero specs that we will likely see in the future. Either hero specs that modify a basic skill and further empower the use of that skill. Hero specs that don't focus on any one skill, but instead provide additional new gameplay and interactions within the base class toolkit. Hero specs that will add a whole new ability and brand new mechanics to a class, or hero specs that will change the mechanics of underused skills to heavily encourage their use during combat. Overall, when they initially announced the idea of hero talents on the BlizzCon stage, at first it seems like a fairly simple system on paper, and I think simple is good when it comes to finding new ways of advancing our classes as we head into the next expansion, as the last few power-focused expansions were anything but simple. Whether we were talking about endless grinding of AEP back in Legion, or the Million Island expeditions, essence grinds, and the legendary cloak system you had to maintain on a weekly basis in BFA, or the gated renown system of Shadowlands Covenants, plus the endless treadmill that was the Tower of Torghast for the legendary crafting system. And I think it's healthy to take a break from all that complexity. By being able to earn hero talents as we level towards a new level cap, it feels very much like a lesson learned situation from the feedback based on the last few WoW iterations. but I never expected for hero talents to add that much depth as they seem to do, at least on paper. Granted, all hero talents are still very much subject to change during the development throughout the alpha and the beta, but the early concepts honestly did surprise me. With that, we have the single focus hero specs like the Sunlayan, the Lightsmith that adds new mechanics to an existing class, or the Chrono Warden that shifts the way that we'll use our cooldowns. All of them have a very different focus, which gets me excited. The hero talents will also create new ways for us to play the same familiar classes that we know and love. For instance, Fury Warriors will now be different from one another, either as a Mountain Thane Fury or a Slayer Fury. Both Fury Warriors will still use iconic abilities such as Bloodthirst, Rage and Blow, and Rampage, but will still retain their own flavor depending on their subspec of choice. And I personally love that the most about this new system, as each class gets an average of 3 hero specs, excluding Demon Hunters and Druids. That is so much extra flavor that goes into your playstyle of choice, both thematically as well as mechanically. And the fact that hero talents will be like any other class talents means that they will be easily swappable. You can adjust your hero specs at any time and change out your loadout depending on the content that you're about to get into. The ease of access, flavorful, thematic, and mechanical changes, as well as the flexibility are the 3 factors that get me the most excited about the hero talent system in general. And honestly, I can't wait until we see more when it comes to either the future previews of hero talents or whenever the alpha for the War Within goes officially live. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.